Hi there. Thanks for joining me on Parent Chat Live video 6. I actually need to turn my ringer off my phone right now. Sorry about that. Little interruption. It's called life. It happens. Anyway, video 6 is titled Let's Play Games with Our Children or Teens or both. If you have kids in different age brackets, you can play all together. There's 3 different personal stories I want to share with you. And I decided to play games with some kids, nieces, nephews, and even my own daughter. And how it kind of changed their attitude, and it kind of actually built a memory for them. So I thought that in video 5, since in video 5 I talked about screen time and I gave 2 tips on how to manage your child's screen time, which one of them was have them earn a certain time so that they can go on their screens and enjoy themselves on their games and videos and whatever it is that they do on their electronics. And the other one was to create a plan that equals to the same amount of time that they actually have physical exercise outside. So those are the 2 suggestions I gave for screen time. So today I'm actually want to share with you different ways that you can create memories with your child or your teen by playing games. Now, when I say playing games, yes, you're right. It's not about playing video games or anything to do with the screen at all. No TV screen, no machinery or anything. It's just good, wholesome games that will allow your child to just have natural fun in that moment. And so the first thing I want to share with you today is we all know, if you're a parent watching this, you probably are familiar with the game of charades and you've probably played it before. And there in, I guess in the last 20 years or so, there have been different games that have expanded on the idea of charades. So there's Pictionary where you draw it. There's reverse charades where you act it out and you have a team that's guessing for you. And there's different ways that you can actually play charades. The way that I play it with when I'm with kids and I want to get them off their screens and have communication with each other and kind of have like just authentic fun where they didn't think that they could have fun. So I'm going to share 2 stories with you because they both had a very positive outcome. So the first one is my neighbor was doing a side job, and the side job he was doing it for his clients were from out of town and they were here renovating their house. Well, between the 2 couples, they had 4 children and they needed to go to an event, and so they needed a babysitter. So he called me and he said, "Hey, are you doing anything later? You know, I have a client who's kind of stuck and they don't know anybody in the area because they live in the mainland. Would you come and watch 4 kids?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll help them out, you know." So I went, and there are 4 kids, ages from 8 till about 12. So no babies or toddlers or anything. So I could really focus on a game and communicate with them and just have like natural fun, right? So before the couples left for their evening, one of the mothers said to me, "Oh, you don't have to do anything, just be here. They're just going to look at their screens and play on their iPads and play their games, and it's okay." So I said, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, you enjoy your evening." Of course, I felt, well, this is an opportunity that I can create a different outcome for them. Maybe they'll put their phones down and their iPads down and actually communicate with each other face to face. Like, wow, what a concept, right? Actually talk to a person. Geez. Or observe them trying to act a word or phrase out. I mean, how fun could that be, right? Well, it's actually very fun. I love to play it. So out of the 4 kids that were in front of me, only 2 of them wanted to participate. So I just said, okay, fine. Then the 2 of you who want to participate, please put your electronics down and I'm gonna show you how to play the game. So they came and we started. I told them what to do. You know, you just think of a word that you'd want to act out, and we have to guess what you're doing. And then the person who guesses it gets to go, and then we just keep playing like that. So they said okay, and they still were kind of like, I'm not sure about this. I just want to go back to my phone. I want to play my game. I think this lady is, I don't know what she's doing. My parents don't let me do this. I mean, I can just see their minds spinning like, what is she trying to get us to do? So I go ahead and go first to just kind of break the ice and to show them how it's done. And then they started to like get into it, you know? And then the next thing you know, the other two children who were sitting on the side wanted to get in on the action, right? So they jump in and they start to play with us. So now there's 4 kids and me, so there's 5 of us. So there's a lot of turnaround time, and everybody gets a chance, and you know, it just became a really fun night. And so the mom sends me a text and asks me, how are the kids doing? And I told her, I said, well, we're having fun. We're playing charades. And she sends me a text back and she says, how in the world did you get them off their screens? That is amazing. And I just said, oh, well, you know, I just introduced them to this game and they started liking it and we all played it. So she thought that that was pretty amazing how I got them off their screen time, which didn't really take much. It's just getting in front of them and showing them something. And then they're getting it like, wow, I don't want to miss out on the fun. So I'm going to continue to, I'm going to put myself down and go ahead and join the fun, right? So that was one example that I used charades and that it was really fun. The other one was where I live in my complex, there's, you know, a bunch of kids around and they seemed to be a little bored one day. And so I said to them, oh, why don't you ask your mom if you can come over to my house and we'll do some fun things? And they said, okay, well, we'll ask. And so the mom said, yeah, sure, you know, because I just lived down the hall. So it wasn't like, you know, I was taking them anywhere. So they came to my house and I have a gas stove, okay? So we started making s'mores right there with the stick and the marshmallow, and then put it on the graham cracker and put the chocolate and put it together and had them sit on my tile floor because I don't want them on my carpet, right? Anyway, they did that and they had their treat and everything. And now that I got them like, you know, excited because we made s'mores with them and they were all amazed how I made that right in their on my stove instead of having some kind of campfire or barbecue, right? They were already like, how in the world? I said, I don't know. I just lit the thing and I turned it on and there was a flame and I thought, why do we have to go downstairs and make a whole barbecue when we can just use this flame? And that's basically what I did. So getting to my point. So we did that and we had a whole bunch of fun. Then they all didn't want to go home because they still want to do something. So they sat around my living room. I had 8 children in my living room from age 4 to 13, sitting all around my couches and everything. And some of them had phones and some of them were looking at their phones and, you know, doing some games and stuff. And about 3 of them asked me if I would put the TV on so they could watch a movie. And I said, no, not going to watch the TV right now. We're going to do something fun. I said, well, what do you mean? That's fun. Can't I just sit here and play on my phone? I says, no, if you're coming to my house, we're going to do some fun things where you're actually going to learn how to interact with each other and play a game that you can learn from each other. And it's so much fun. They were not like having it. They're still like, no, I want to play on my phone. And I said, okay, anybody who wants to try can just jump in and try, but I'm going to go first and I'm going to tell you what you need to do. So the same situation when I was with the other house with the other 4 kids. I did the same exact thing, and the next thing I knew, all 8 kids were interacting and playing games and laughing and having a good time. They were laughing so hard that one of the mothers came from down the hall, knocked on my door and said, Celeste, what's going on in your house? Like, I can hear all the kids laughing. I said, oh, we're playing charades. So she walked in and she saw all the kids having a good time. And she's like, oh, wow, that is really cool. I said, yeah. She's like, okay, well, my kids need to come home in a half hour. I said, oh, yeah, no problem. I'll send them home. So she left, and then the kids continued to play. And the more they got into it, the more creative they got in their choices of what they needed to act out. So they were getting like really creative and really into it. And when the half hour was up, I said, "Oh, sorry, your mom needs you to go home now." So they all walked out, and they turned and looked at me, and they said, "That was the best fun we had. Thank you." And I said, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem. You guys can play this at home with your mom and your dad and your other friends." And so they were like very like happy about that. So those are the two examples, and I played it a lot more than just these two, but I kind of really wanted to give you real life stories so that you can walk it through. Like if you ask the children, let's play charades, and then of course most times they're going to say, well, what is that? Is that an old-fashioned game? We'd rather play on our phones and look at videos on YouTube. We don't want to play. Well, you don't really need to ask them. You can just say, we're going to play a game and I'm going to show you how to do it. And if you want to go ahead and participate, just jump in. And that way they can kind of observe the situation first and see if there's something that they want to, participate in. And I've never had someone just sit and not want to do it, especially after they see all the other kids start to get up and get involved and really start to have a good time. Okay, so that is the charades one. Now, there's this other personal story I wanted to share with you because it kind of fits in with playing games. But so when I was working at an elementary school as a parent community network coordinator, one of my jobs was to create family nights, family game nights, or different kind of community opportunities for parents and their kids to get together and have some fun. And so one morning I was leaving, we were getting ready. I had, my daughter was in 5th grade at the time, and we were leaving to get ready I was going to work and she was going to school. I worked at her school, and she stopped me and she asked me this question. She said, "So mom, you do all this stuff for the school and the parents and the other students, and I can see that that's your job. But what about me?" And I just stopped and I just thought to myself, wow, she's right. I'm not carving out time to spend with her doing something fun that she would want to do. So I looked at the clock and I said, well, we still have 20 minutes 20 minutes to leave. So what I decided to do in that moment, because I didn't want her to think that I was putting her on hold, and I did have the time to spare, I said, you know what? You're right. Let's play a game right now. What would you like to play? And she says, really? I said, yeah, let's do something. We have time. As long as we eat our breakfast while we're playing the game, we can still make it to school on time. So she said, can we play Connect 4? I said, yeah, we can play Connect 4. So she went and got the game out, and I got the breakfast plates and everything together and what we were going to have for breakfast that morning. And we sat in the living room by the coffee table. She set up the game, and we played a couple of games of Connect 4 before we went to school. Well, she was going to school and I was going to work. And she was so happy that I carved that time out. I created space for her to connect with her one-on-one. And when we reached school in the parking lot, she just had like this big smile on her face. So I really wanted to share that you really don't have to have a lot of time to create this connection with your child or your teen, but it really is helpful when you do create some type of space, carve out time in your busy day, drop everything, and just say, you know what, you're right, you matter. Let's do something right now. After school and when you get home from work is a very busy time. You got to make dinner, you got to make sure homework is done. There's a routine that needs to be followed. But, you know, once in a while, it's okay to break the rules, or break the routine, I should say, would probably be a better way for me to word that, because it kind of it surprises your child and it really makes them feel special that you're willing to step out of the comfort zone, step out of the process that usually happens every single night, and just make them the priority for the next 20 or 30 minutes. So if you're coming in the house and you have a whole bunch of groceries and you got to make dinner, and all of us parents, as soon as we come home from work, we have this list in our head, yeah, of all the things we need to get done, before we can actually sit down and relax and enjoy the rest of our evening. And then you need to go to sleep, and then you need to get up the next day and do the whole process all over again, right? Okay, so that's just the way that it is. But if you interrupt that routine to show how special your child is in that moment, it'll make a big difference in his or her life. And also, you are not only in that moment creating a good experience for him or her, you are also creating a memory, because he or she is going to remember that. Wow. I remember when mom was coming home and she had a whole bunch of groceries in her hand, and dad was just about to get home, and she needed to make dinner and everything. And I went up to her and I said, Mom, can you just play with me? Can you play a game with me? And she actually put the groceries in the refrigerator and she sat down and she played the game of my choice. And she was just there looking in my eyes and interacting with me. That goes a long way. It really does. And you know what else happens when you do this and you just put them first and you put things on hold just for a little bit? What also happens is they feel comfortable and so happy that they start to share with you what's going on with them, what happened that day with their friends, or maybe they're challenged with something. They're more likely to share that information with you and open up the dialogue so that you can communicate with them and maybe help guide them to create a solution for whatever challenge they're going through. Or maybe they just want to share some great news. Like, oh yeah, so maybe you're playing a game and next thing you know, they say, oh mom, by the way, I had a spelling test today and I actually got 100%. That's great, wonderful. You must be proud of yourself for studying very hard and taking that test very seriously. Simple things like that go a long way. So this is video 6. Let's play games with our children or teens. There's one more really quick one I just want to tell you because it's the easiest thing to do and it actually creates a diversion, I guess you should say, or keeps them occupied when you're driving. So in the morning, that rush in the car, or maybe you have to drive in traffic. Maybe you from your home to where you drop them off at school is a long distance. There's this fun game you can play, and it's called Who Am I? And it's a take off of charades, but you're in the car, you don't act it out, you speak the clues out. So even the young children like 3 or 4 years old enjoy this game. When I play it with the younger children, I mostly do animals because they can relate to that really quickly. So I'm big and I'm gray and I have big ears and a long trunk. Who am I? And then the younger child would say, elephant, and then get all excited. And then they start to think of something that they want to share, and they have to change the way that they think because they have to provide the clues without giving the answer, which builds their brain development. So it's a win-win for everybody. Now, when I play it with older children, I use different categories. So I remember playing this with my daughter when we would be driving to school in the morning. And one day I was I ran out of animals, right? And she was in like fourth grade. So I started saying, I live in a big white house and I'm very important and people vote for me. And so it just so happened she was learning the political um, diplomacy and things in school at that time. And so she knew right away. And then I said, who am I? And she said, you're the president. I said, yes, I'm the president. So, and then she went ahead and she started doing some really hard ones after that. I had to like study before we played the game because she's like getting me, like, sometimes. Anyway, those are 3 different ways that you can connect with your child, really show that they're special, important in that moment, and create a childhood memory for them that, you know, would be unforgettable for them. Thank you so much for joining Parent Chat Live today on video 6. I will see you in video 7. Can't wait to see you again. Goodbye now.